Yo, what's going on, Nashville Fit Fam? We are back in the Game Day Men's Health Studio with my girl, Sav.
Hello.
What up? Are you just Sav today, or who are you?
Sure. I mean, what else am I? Savannah or Sav? You only get two.
Or Quiet Storm Sav. Sometimes it depends on how you come in. You know, you have your different.
What type of Sav am I today? I'm Sleepy Sav today.
Sleepy Sav.
Yeah,
Man, I love that.
I'm a little
Everything.
sleepy. It was rainy this morning.
Yeah.
I didn't sleep well last night, and I still taught an early morning class, which was great. But I used all of my energy in that.
For that,
and
yeah. I was gonna ask you, when you're tired, how do you get through your classes like that?
I didn't have a problem this morning just because I think I was I had a couple cups of coffee. I'd woken up and I think my, you know how your REM cycle, you can sleep 3 hours, but if you wake up with your body clock, you're fine for a little while. I think that happened this morning. So I was lit when I taught my class. I did not feel tired. And then as soon as I got home and laid down on the couch and started scrolling, I was like, oh man.
Yeah, there it is. Yeah. So I tell people that I know, and I still regret not being here for the sleep episode, but I don't sleep a lot. I get maybe 4 hours. 5 is a great night for me.
Okay.
But if I sleep more than that, I'm tired the rest of the day.
Yeah.
I'm
it can happen. I mean, I think 6 to 8 hours is what they recommend, and I think, it all depends on your circadian rhythm or whatever. But.
Yeah, and everyone's like, "Yo, you should get a Whoop," and I was like, "Nah," because I already know it's gonna tell me. It's gonna tell me the same thing every day, and I already know that I need to sleep more.
It just made me feel really bad about myself.
Did it?
Yeah, because I had one, and the sole reason I had a Whoop was because I wanted to know about my sleep. I thought that was fascinating that they can track that.
Yeah.
And you think it's weird because some days you think you're recovered. Mm-hmm. You wake up and you're I feel amazing, and then you look at your Whoop and you're like, oh,
nah,
I guess not.
Sleep sucked last night. Don't do anything. Don't do anything today.
Right? I don't know what to do with that. But then there are days where you feel like crap, and it's you're 90% recovered. I'm
I don't think I am. And to your point, what do you do with that information? Because my training schedule is my training schedule. I'm not gonna change it. Because the watch is telling me that you're only 70% recovered. You should chill today. I'm like,
I think if it was more accurate, I would.
Yeah.
If I had definitive proof that it was accurate, but most of the things on there, I didn't really find accurate. Especially calorie counting. A lot of people get those things to count calories, which is I have opinions about.
Yeah.
But that's the least accurate part of the Whoop. Okay. At least when I had it. This was a few years ago.
Yeah.
I haven't worn it for a while, so I don't know if they've upgraded it or whatever, or if the whatever ring,
the
Oura ring. You have one of those,
I've just been sitting over here waiting to chime in on this thing.
So let's go ahead and jump in because I was thinking I know the NFL has a deal with Whoop, the NFLPA does, and so a lot of the players and ex-players they get a super discount. On it just for trackables, right? So some guys can play in it.
Am I talking about it?
Oh no, you're good.
She fumbled the bag big time.
You're good.
The NFL just loves the Whoop, and Sam's over here talking.
So I think in professional sports, we'll jump into this, a lot deeper. Data matters, right? It's all about the numbers.
Absolutely,
you are someone's investment. So you got
numbers.
Some accurate numbers, data, right? And I don't even want to jump into it yet, but we'll jump into the deeper part of that conversation, and I promise you, we'll circle back to that.
Yeah, we got to follow the segments.
Yeah. So I got a question. I got a question for you because I literally been holding this question. I saw it on the internet, and I thought about you when I saw this.
Oh God!
All right. Here's the question. You can jump into because I appreciate your training mind as well. So.
Oh, was that a compliment?
Of course. I like to compliment.
Thank you. Wow.
I'm not going
to trainer.
You're probably the second trainer that I probably complimented in here. And Sam did the same thing. She's like, wait, what?
Sorry if you're a coach and you come on the show.
She was like, wait, did you just compliment her? I was like, well, yeah, Sam.
Well, because you're always trying to get me with something do you think kettlebells are the only way to get strong?
So this is in that pocket though, right?
Okay. I have a question for you in that pocket. Actually, it's not even a question. I just want to give you crap.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Here it is. With proper exercise prescription, you don't need a mobility routine.
No.
True or false? You're saying no, that's wrong, or no, that's right?
True.
That's true?
Yeah. I don't have a mobility routine, and I'm a mobility specialist.
Yeah.
There's mobility built into a lot of things.
Yeah.
I think awareness goes a long way.
Okay.
And intention with what you're doing. Why do you ask?
That's literally.
Did you think I was going to say?
No, I just want to see.
Everyone must have a mobility
No,
routine.
I just want to see what you're going to say because I knew that was a part of like who you are and what you do. And so I can't remember the guy's name, but he's a guy. He's a strength conditioning coach at UNC. You may know him. But he
big buff dude.
Yeah,
Massive dude.
White guy.
Like 6'5", 260.
Yeah. I can't think
y'all
of his,
keep going.
Yeah, I can't think of his name right now, but I follow him. And he's like, once you understand that strength training is just a loaded stretch, then that will change how you program for everything.
Mobility is strength training for the connective tissue.
Yeah.
It's like loading your end range of motion. And like once people grasp that, like, and don't think of it as stretching and flexibility, it's like game changer. And I said it to my class this morning. I'm like, if you're not utilizing your full range of motion, you're missing out on like accessing all of your muscles, you know, like accessing the whole damn thing, you know? So if you prioritize that, which is not rocket science, I tell people all the time, mobility does not have to be this crazy routine, you know, like, and in fact, if you're thinking of it that way, it's probably why you don't practice mobility, or you avoid it or whatever. But you know, you can include a couple things a day, just kind of one thing at a time, you know, like if you need hip mobility, which most people do, that's a big one. Hips and shoulders, those are like the main drivers of our body. So I always tell people like, look at those areas and pick one or two things to do for those areas a day in your warm up. And then a lot of the stuff you do, like a goblet squat, that's a mobility exercise, you know, like it's just all about how your intention is and with your movement and everything.
I love it. Yeah, I just want to see what you're going to say. Yeah. I've been literally had that question in my pocket for like a week now.
It's ironic because I specialize, like I have a cert in mobility, but I don't like to advertise mobility as this like foreign language. Yeah. I like to make it accessible because it should be. It's I think every trainer should be well versed in mobility and
stability.
What that is.
Like there's so many different ways to attack it, right? Like you were saying, it's strength through length. And as long as you have activation, you're strong through the full range of motion. Like there's no reason to passively stretch ever. But people, when they think about hip mobility, they're like, oh, well, I can't get an internal rotation. Well, it might just be because your damn hip is so weak that you can, like I can physically fold you there, like your body will do it, but you can't pick your leg up because you don't have the ability, the strength through your hip to do it.
That's
so
the
you
key.
have it.
Passive versus active.
But you can't access it because you're not strong enough.
Yeah. All those keywords. Man, I love it.
I love
these are conversations.
I love the nerd session. That's why I knew you were gonna I knew it was gonna turn into a nerd session. That's why I love doing this type of things. So you guys have heard our guest already, and we haven't
I don't even want to go into the basketball.
I know, but we have.
I know we do.
We kind of gotta have to.
I kind of I was about to grab. He's like, don't touch. I'm like, wait, what? I thought this was like,
oh, what's this here? I was like, oh, you can't read them yet, man. This is like top. This is a real thing, man.
It's a gratitude jar over here.
We're here with Josh from Alpha. Tell me your last name again, Josh.
Cuthbert.
Josh Cuthbert from Alpha
with
Strength
the T.
here. With the Cuthbert.
Yes.
Cuth.
Blue eyes. Yep, she got it.
Mr. Blue Eyes.
Yep.
Only
Blue
because
eyes.
I do the emails, so I can see it written a bunch of times.
It's easier when you see it.
Scheduling everything.
And so Josh and I have we told you this, like we've never met in person. We've just like been internet besties for a minute now. Kind of same lane. Very similar like vibe, even as far as coaching goes.
Yep. I mean, you guys are dressed the same. I'm not gonna lie.
Lululemon, you know, like we are
Nikes, black slacks, and like you're both wearing like a nice athletic like
it is
dry fit
Lululemon,
shirt.
Correct. And guess what?
I just now realized.
and we're both from Florida. I just realized when I read his bio that he was from Florida. I was like, wait, you're from Florida?
Chiseled.
Blue eyes.
Blues. Yeah. Oh my God.
Blue chisel.
Oh my God. Will you look in the camera, one of these cameras, so the YouTube watchers can see your
I've had some like
eyeballs.
big time podcast, like YouTube people, and we've trained and he'll go to post the thing and all he wants to do is feature my eyes. I'm like, Brian, I need you to talk more about the session that we just went through to your million people. He's like, but your eyes are majestic. I'm like,
they are though, man. I mean,
it's
the first thing I noticed when I walked in. I was like, oh my God, eyeballs. Those are the coolest eyes.
So long time ago, when you were a single man, did you use those eyes?
The eyes have come into play multiple times in my life. They've also helped as like a wingman. Like I'll just approach, and then I'm like, "Well, this is my buddy John," and they're like, "Oh yeah, John."
Yeah, hey John, cute. But what's your name again? Like, hey John, but John,
like have a vision with your eyeball.
I definitely think that Courtney looked in my eyes, and that was probably the first thing that drew her in. I'm like, okay, thank you, Mom, for these things.
Appreciate that.
I'm not even a straight woman, and I would look in your eyes and be like, wow.
Man,
those would draw me in. Yeah. They did.
Again, you've never told me that, Sav. So
I've given you other compliments, Gerell. Chill out.
Still, I'm the jealous type. You can't.
You want me to compliment every part of your body?
Yes.
All right. Is your wife listening?
Probably, but probably not. Honestly, but
Gerell's wife.
Listen,
I'll give him compliments when he earns them.
My wife is not the jealous type. Like literally, she could care less. Like she's like, okay, that's what's up. How much money did you make today?
Yeah, that's why I married
came on to you. She would look at me and probably like flick me.
Like people always ask, like especially like in our industry, like, does your wife get jealous because you like train 80% women? I was like, she doesn't care. Do they pay? Is it in the account?
They
cool,
good, yeah.
Right? Then that's she doesn't care.
Coming home with some money.
You come home with money. Okay, you had your shirt off in the gym today. Is your wife? She doesn't.
Then
she
make her butt big.
She doesn't care at all.
Make her butt big, babe.
She don't care at all.
Bring home the dough.
Let's jump into the basket of debate. Today's basket of debate is brought to you by Burn Boot Camp.
Let's go, Burn Boot Camp.
So
which one?
It just says Burn Boot Camp. I don't know. So I don't know if it's just Burn Boot Camp of Nashville.
Thank you all
of them.
Burn Boot Camps.
Thank you all of our local Burn Boot Camps. East.
And then
Burn Boot Camp East. There you go.
Around the mic.
Thank
there you go.
Hey, we actually have while we're doing this, we have a guest producer today, which is Carrie.
Freaking out.
I know she doesn't. I know that's why I did it, because I know she hates attention, so that's why I love giving her attention.
Even in our team meetings, she will like turn her camera off.
Like, don't look at
herself unless she is asked a question.
Wow.
And we all love her, and she's probably the best.
Shout out
cook
to Carrie,
in the
who has to put up with Terry, right? And so I understand. And all of us. She is the NFM mom. It makes us we all stay employed and HR compliant. Let's jump into it, Josh. What is yours?
I was wondering if we can scribble them back around and pick again.
Oh man,
thing.
You got a battle?
No, well it ain't great. It's actually hard. I don't know how we're gonna do this. Y'all ready?
Man.
Yep.
So how do I read this?
Just read that. Yeah.
Okay. On the count of 3, everyone say their favorite winter holiday that isn't Christmas or New Year's.
Oh, well, how many do we have?
I'm just over here thinking I don't know of any other, and then I get down like a religious debate because the only other one I know I'm gonna say.
Yeah.
Okay. So other than Christmas,
other than a winter holiday. Okay, I got mine.
I mean,
okay, I got it. Oh, I'm going brownie points for days. Y'all ready?
Okay, you ready?
1.
No, I'm not ready.
Come on, Sam.
Come on, Sam.
Come on, Sam.
We can't have long breaks in the pod.
Okay.
Think of something.
All right.
Here we go. 3, 2, 1.
Valentine's
Martin Luther
Day.
King Day.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I almost said like Hanukkah.
Hanukkah. That said it's like
I'm gonna offend somebody because I don't know much about those things, and I
Sam, you're overthinking it.
Don't know any other winter holiday other than Christmas, Kwanzaa.
See, you could say Kwanzaa. You got the Tanzania shirt on.
Valentine's Day.
I like Valentine's Day. Does that count?
It's in February.
Yeah.
I mean, Valentine's Day
I'm getting brownie points for days.
Right? Should love people every day.
Live stream it.
Live stream this so my wife can see it.
Christmas wins everything. With winter holidays. What did you guys say? I
said Martin Luther King Day. I thought he was going to say Valentine's Day.
Yep.
And you said?
I said Valentine's Day.
Okay.
But I was going to say, Kwanzaa or something as well.
You should. I thought about New Year's, but I'm like, I actually do not like New Year's Eve.
But you can't say New Year's.
It's on the thing. You can't say it. It's Christmas or New Year's. Can't say it.
Oh,
other than Christmas
both of those are out. Well, weird question.
Good job. All right,
Hanukkah. Yeah. All right.
I'm gonna let you guys.
Yeah, that was a hard one.
Gonna let you guys answer this because I'm black, so I've done none of these things. Which is better, skiing, snowboarding, or sledding?
Oh, so is that like a count of 3 thing?
No, it's just,
okay.
yeah, it's just like,
I mean, personally,
yeah.
I've never snowboarded. It looks awesome, but I kind of go through life in like one speed. And Courtney says, like, you got to slow down, like slow down. And I do the same thing when it comes to skiing. Like I'm zoom like down, like she's like slow down. I'm like,
I don't know how to.
and she's like one speed where she's like cutting nice,
just consistent.
Yeah, and
She's
she'll never
cruising.
fall. But
That's me.
Like I'm like, all right, I got the app. I got to get to 40 miles an hour today. She's like, why do you have to do that? I'm like, because like that's we're here.
And I figured like 40 should be like.
We spend $300 a day to get out here. I'm getting my money's worth down the hill.
Look out! Look at it. I see
So
that.
skiing for me, for sure.
Skiing, okay. What do you say, Sav?
It's just so funny how opposite we are. And we also went to Gatlinburg together. And
Yeah.
I wonder if we're gonna do that again this year.
Terry,
I want to make you get on a pair of skis.
I
I would love to see that.
I'm gonna die.
It's what was the other one? Sledding.
Or sledding.
Nah. It's gonna be either snowboarding or skiing. But I started on a snowboard and I got like pretty decent. I actually could grind a rail on a snowboard, and then didn't ski for a long time because I was like, no, snowboarding is cooler. You know, like I'm the lesbian in the room. And then one time I tried a pair of skis and I was way better at skiing almost instantly than I ever was with snowboarding. And I was like, why wasn't I doing this before? And I do skiing the same way your wife does and the same way I longboard. Not really good at skateboarding at all, but I went through a phase, learned how to drop in on a ramp, and that was about as far as I got. When I got a longboard, I was like, I don't have to do tricks on this thing. I can just cruise, you know? Like I don't go down the really big hills or anything like the daredevils do. Same with skiing. I'm really good at it, but I'm really good at going at a reasonable speed.
Yeah.
I look like I know what I'm doing. You know,
That's all that matters.
I can like do the moves.
Smooth, yeah.
I don't have pizza skis and awkward, you know,
Yeah.
but
It's hard in
skiing.
Tennessee too. Like you might get once a year, right? So it's hard to really, really get good at it.
Yeah. Well, and also Natalie, what was her name? Or Natasha, what was her name? She was the actress in Parent Trap. She died skiing. She hit a tree. I mean, a lot of people die skiing, but
Yeah, I was gonna say so did Sonny Bono.
that made me scared of skiing a little bit. I did get lost once skiing in the woods.
You got lost on skis? That
Yeah,
sucks.
I lost a ski getting
And you-
lost on skis.
yeah, that's
And you
tough.
guys want to take me out there? Are you crazy? No way. You hear what you just said? Like lost in the woods?
I just
No.
wanna watch
And,
you- I
and
wanna
cold?
watch you
No,
figure it
man.
out.
Absolutely not.
I
Sam.
do got to touch on one
Put
thing.
Gerell on Naked and Afraid.
Yeah, that's my worst
that's
fear.
how it feels.
Cold and in the middle of the woods alone? No, man. It's my biggest fear.
You might be
Yeah,
the guys.
you don't train for that?
No.
I was in Breckenridge,
no.
Colorado, and I felt so bad, but it was nobody's fault but their own. I mean, these dudes, black dudes, full out Gucci, snowboards, got off the lift. I went up and down the mountain 3 times. I finally had to my guy's like, "What's up?" He's like, "Shit, man, we don't know how to do these things."
Don't do this,
I'm
we
like,
got-
"What do you can't get to the top of the lift in the full $1,000 get up, get to snowboard, and he can barely even get it. He couldn't even get in the thing." I'm like, you got to go back down to the bottom, start on the little bunny things. I mean, they're over there.
We out here for the flicks, man.
I mean, they're
We out
they're
here for
taking the
flicks, man.
pictures.
You know what
It's
this is?
surprising
It's
how
for
many
Instagram.
people
Just think they're just gonna do it.
skiing just to take pictures in their
Yeah,
ski
I'm about to
suit.
go back inside and get this hot cocoa, man. It's
Yeah.
cold out here.
Yeah,
That's why.
what's his name? There was a guy. He's
Listen,
one of
some
those.
stereotypes are true, man.
Devin Levesque. Do you guys know him? He's just like one of those extreme athletes on Instagram. That's like an influence. All he does is like extreme stuff. Climbed Everest because he has the money to like actually go to the top, and like it was all about the snowsuit that he got for it. It was like this like thousands of dollars expensive snowsuit, and he wore it in like 8 posts before he even climbed the mountain.
I'm sure they probably
was
sent it
just
to him.
all
He probably
about
got it. He
that.
probably got it for free.
Free,
They were
probably
like,
paid.
He probably did.
You need to,
Yeah, I mean he's
yeah.
a big deal on social media. So.
All right, Sav, what's yours?
Oh, I totally forgot about mine. We have, if you could be the star in one of TV's reality shows, which one would it be and why?
Don't watch these.
Current? Has
Yeah.
it been a current reality show?
What were you thinking?
I'm going to go Biggest Loser.
Okay.
It's actually really good.
Would you want to be like the biggest loser or like a coach?
Come on now, Sav. Is that a real
'Cause
question?
it says be the star. I know. I didn't
the star
watch
of Biggest Loser was Jillian Michaels.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Okay.
yeah, I would be a coach.
Yeah, I think you could.
Yeah, I'm not gonna gain 500 pounds and go on the other side. And
Have you
like,
heard of
yeah,
people
let's see what
doing
happens.
that? Like coaches will do that.
Well, it's the
fit
guy
people.
who did it. I can't remember his name, but Fit to Fat is his IG.
Yeah.
Fit to Fat to Fit. And they actually had a TV show. He got like 2 seasons of a TV show. And I know a guy who actually went on there.
Yeah.
And did it. Like he was one of the trainers who went on, gained the weight, and then lost it again. I was like, I would never do that.
No,
yeah,
I would never do that.
I'm not even gonna play like that. Like I love sweets too much. You guys
Well,
would
that's also
never
like
see
playing
me.
with your
back.
metabolism. That's like you can, and as a woman, like I'm not gonna mess with my hormones that way. Like I like where they're at right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or
No,
just
thank you.
mentally, I don't want to.
Yeah.
After that first workout, you're like, actually, I'm kind of straight. It's kind of better on this side, guys. Like,
Especially in our world where I preach, it's easier to stay in shape, relatively good shape, and relatively fit than to go so far the other way and have to get there.
Yeah.
Especially like with guys or women in their 30s and 40s that we work with so often. Just get there and then stay there is so much easier than letting it get so far and then you just have this mountain to climb. That
Right.
mountain, I wouldn't do it. I don't want to do it. That's why.
That's why the yo-yo dieting
within 10
thing,
pounds,
and
every-
like the
every
quick
day.
fixes,
Yep.
like they seem really appealing, but if you lose weight really fast, it's very hard to maintain that, versus like, okay, it's going to take a little bit longer to lose whatever weight we need to lose, but we're doing it in a healthy way. And people are like, but my wedding's in 3 months. I'm like, well,
you waited too long. big
Prepare
dog.
sooner.
you might look great for your wedding, but then the honeymoon, good luck.
Honeymoon's not gonna matter. Honeymoon's gonna be what it is, baby.
I don't know. You'd be surprised.
Really?
Everything matters to some people.
Oh nah, man. We're gonna do what we're gonna do on the honeymoon.
The honeymoon goes on Instagram. The wedding goes on Instagram.
We're gonna do on the honeymoon. That's not gonna. That belly's not gonna get in the way, baby. Come on, let's go. Let's go.
Hey, you know me.
I'm still
You
PG
know
right
I don't
here. Am I
care.
still PG? Okay, I just want to make sure I wasn't going.
Well, Terry's not here, so. Well, that's a great place to segue into the next subject.
let's jump into man, my man Josh. I got so many questions for you, man. It's wild that you rarely meet people or see people on social media that they are who they are in real life, right? A lot of people put up facades. A lot of people put up fake things or persona, right? But just we follow each other for a while. We watch each other for a while. And it's been one of those things where like, nah, that's really who he is. He really trains this way. He really, lives what he preaches. And not just in that, but even in the type of clientele that you have, the people that, that you train wouldn't come to you if this wasn't the real thing. So, short story long, let's talk about how you got into training. What's the
And just before you get into that, can you like briefly say like who you are and what you do, and then like let's start from the top.
Yes, I am Blue Eyes.
Yes.
So my name's Josh Cuthbert, here in Nashville, Tennessee. I'm originally from South Florida, which we learned that both of us are from Florida earlier. Played college football at Louisiana Tech, so that's kind of my vibe is athlete-based training, even for general population. People that I see, I just believe in staying athletic as long as you can. That way you can do all the things that you want to do with your kids, grandkids, all that stuff through life. I do train some high-end athletes on a day-to-day basis, but majority of my clientele, as he would probably tell you the same, is everyday athletes is what I call them. I train a lot of people in person, online. I work with people kind of across the world. I got a guy in Australia that I work with. It's just, I take the same approach, my same mentality that I take with my athletes. Like you got to have a mindset, you got to have dedication, you got to have grit, all those same things that really appeals to like a high-end CEO. Like the people, I have a guy who's like, what is the difference between me, who's like a private equity guy, and my athletes? I'm like, nothing. You just weren't as gifted athletically as them. Like
you don't have the ability.
You have all that same stuff. Like you're in here with me.
Didn't put you in sports.
Yeah, you're in here at 6 a.m. right? You're on all these calls. You're on all these meetings. You're taking care of your body. You're taking care of your nutrition. You are the athlete version of a CEO, and that's all the successful people that I know. They love the athlete mindset because they implement it in their day-to-day life. Whether it's, my guys, my athletes that have to get up and get in the cold shower and the cold tub and the sauna and all the stuff that they do on top of training 3 hours and taking care of their body, that's their day. But if you're a CEO, you have your own routine and your own things that you have to implement, and your discipline that you're able to maintain is what gets you to this. You're a millionaire.
Yeah, you're the 1%. You're still 1%.
You're still a 1%er, 100%. And those are the clients that I prefer to work with, and I guess I attract because of the athletes that I work with and the dedication that they put forth on a day-to-day basis. The same executives come to me for the same reasons.
Yeah, and what it takes.
I love that because I try to tell my clients that, and a lot of my clients are not CEOs. They're like, Gen Pop. They're, I don't know, have a, job in tech or something, or have accountants, or something like that. And that's not to say those things aren't important and that those people don't make money and whatever, but I'm always talking about, like, it's not just training physically, like, to be athletic, like there's a reason that takes a certain level of mindset that applies to life. Like if you train like an athlete, even if you didn't grow up an athlete, which I did not, but training like an athlete, like, it's hard. You have to have this mindset, and it's, I did become an athlete starting to train Muay Thai. And then it's like, oh, wow, like this really is a sport, and it's competitive and it's hard and it's disciplined. And if you want to be good at it, you have to toughen up.
Yep.
You have to be resilient, and that carries over into life. So it's like, I love that you apply things that you do with your athletes who are actually pro athletes to CEOs and other people, because it really does improve how you approach life, I think. And I know you do that.
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
No, I do. No, I think, and that's why I said it was one of those things, especially now, because it's such a trend right now. Training like an athlete is a trend, right?
The hybrid.
Or the hybrid, or whatever, whatever your thing is. And a lot of the things that I see is not training like an athlete at all. It's a lot of party tricks. It's a lot of, oh, look what I can do, stuff that, like, you're athletic, right? But training like an athlete is no different than training anyone else. It's a lot of the boring stuff over and over again at a pace with intensity. You know what I mean?
But then on the flip side of that, you'll have like a power lifter who says like, oh, well, it's basics, like you got to, and I'm like, but do you jump?
Yeah. But it's, training like an athlete is very similar to powerlifting outside of the rest breaks. You're not taking a 3, like the 5-5, like science is science. The rep scheme is going to be the same, right? It's just going to be how you put it together and the amount of time that you take to recover.
Well, so much, like you said earlier with the mobility, it's training tissues and resiliency to what the external force is going to be. Nashville Fit, I know it's super sciencey, but
this might be a nerd episode.
It's just like you get into, like, I don't train a football player to be a better football player in the weight room. Like I train him so that he is resilient as can be in his sport towards his sport. And whether that means loading tissues, loading muscles, end range, rate of force development, like all of that stuff, it's all part of the sport, but we can only do so much in the weight room that can potentially help you out there. But what you do out there is what you do out there. And that's why we have seasons. We have in season, we have postseason, we have off season, then we have preseason, and every one of those macro cycles has a different intention. If you take somebody and they're just in their same 3x10, 3x8, whatever it is, there's no progressive overload and there's no change in intensity throughout it, then you're not preparing them for the season.
And understanding when to ramp up and when to ramp down, right?
Like, you don't want to peak, and people do it all the time. Strength and conditioning coaches, they're peaking, even an NFL player, they're peaking them in July. I'm like, what'd you do that for? Their first game's not till September 10th. They're like, well, they got to look good when they get there. I'm like, why?
Yeah, because you're
thinking 8 weeks of camp. Like, what are you talking about? Why are we doing this to people?
Athletes will do that to themselves.
They will, 100%,
like,
especially like
proper coaching.
Like fringe guys, like free agents or late round draft picks, they care more about how they report and how they look when they get there, because they're just worried about the next 6 weeks and getting on the team.
Which to them does matter.
It does, 100%.
Right? Like, so that is their time to shine, because
it's their peak.
I may not get 8 weeks. I may get 2, right?
I
may get 1, and I got to show it. Like when day 1, I have to show it for these 3 reps that I get today. I have to be perfect. 3 reps have to be on. So even understanding who you're training, whether, like, all right, you got to know when you go to camp It's not gonna be the same as when George go to camp.
George
is chilling.
TJ, yeah,
like, he's there.
It's a different world.
It's a whole nother. It's a whole nother situation.
Yep.
You can't do what he does, right? And so you have to hit the ground running day one. He is cool in it. He's over there getting stretched. He's gonna hit his couple of reps, and he's gonna go, to the cold tub, maybe bike for the rest of the day,
and hang out.
So hang out. So just understanding, because they know what they have in him. You're trying to prove it. So that's even the science behind again training athletes.
Love, like hearing about this.
Yeah,
I've not trained like an NFL athlete or a football player for like season and then post season and preseason and like during the season, but I've read some things where I've kind of seen it. I don't know it, and then there's other sports, like I'm not familiar with how to train a football player. Actually, I trained one NFL player one time. Had no idea what I was doing. I thought I was going to get him in there, and I looked at his squat, and his squat was terrible. But like,
most of
someone explained to me, he doesn't need to perfect his back squat, to the point where you want to perfect it, or to the point where like a 75-year-old woman might need to improve her squat technique and mechanics and whatever. But he's a football player.
Yeah,
he just needs to be good at football.
And we're probably we're probably not even back squatting them. Like even proper.
We do a lot of front squats.
Programming, a lot of
no idea what I was doing.
Like we're not going to like we. So your job is the same as a doctor's. Do no harm.
Yeah.
Right.
Ferraris.
This is a $1 million investment, right? Yeah. Like someone is paying you. You don't want to get that call from the owner of the 49ers. Like, bro, what did you right?
How did that happen? Yeah.
That's not good, right? And so understanding like there's different ways to get the same result, right? We're gonna do a lot of unilateral work, and I don't want to talk over like I don't want to tell you what you're doing over there, but a lot of unilateral works, a lot of front squat because that's more core, honestly, and power.
Good, that's what I do.
Right?
I didn't even know. I was
like back,
I hate back squats. Love a front squat and love some unilateral work.
So like,
so cool.
Especially like, I'm sure you get it as well. Like when people see you, like, oh, bro, what's your max? You're like, bro, I haven't maxed.
I have no idea.
I don't care about that stuff. I did.
I just brought back squats in just on some toxic stuff. I was like, I haven't back squatted in a while. I just kind of want to see where I'm at. And, so I started with bench squats, even me, like I started with like box squats and then progressed to like just straight. I just want to see where I'm at. And then I'm going to take it back out and probably not do it for
But you can do
year
that
or so.
because you train like an athlete.
Touche.
Like I feel like not everybody can just be like, I just want to see where I'm at. They're going to ego lift it, like if they get in there.
Well, I've done that before too, but that's you learn from your injuries. Like, so.
You learn from your mistakes for sure.
Recently you did this, right? With a back squat, like you went to test it.
I'm still in the.
And you just want to see what you were made of. Like that's, I think when you've had a long enough training career, whether you're, an athlete or not, but I think if you've trained long enough, been injured before, learn from that, like you're able to go into the gym and be like, I'm going to see what my back squat's at today, but like if you just started, I don't think you can walk in and be like, I'm going to see what my back squat is. Stack 4 plates and then you quarter squat and you're like,
but you also know if you do 3 reps at whatever, where you're at without having to actually take it to the point of no return.
Yeah.
Right. Like you can see where you are within reason and be like, all right, 365 or 3 pretty good. I'm probably right around 400. Like let's back off now.
No point in me hitting 400 today because it's like
it's there.
Can we talk
it's there, yeah.
Along those lines, can we talk about failure? Like reaching muscle failure, because that's a very big bodybuilding thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
What is it to an athlete, to an NFL player, training wise?
That's a really good question. So we don't, especially on our compound, like our heavy sets, we're just not getting there. There's a big difference between like skeletal muscle hypertrophy and getting to failure on a set of 10 to 12 and like taking that muscle to absolute failure, as opposed to they're trying to deadlift 600 pounds. That failure at 600 is much more risky than your last set of pec deck flies at 35 pounds. We just don't get there. Okay. And on the other side of that too is I don't like for my guys that are in their off season, we're looking for growth, we're looking for some hypertrophy, a little bit of strength. Failure is not what they need to get to in the weight room. Like they're coming in to get good work, all of those things, but they live in their head so much, right? So if we do something and they can't get it, they fail on this lift, and God forbid they fail on it the next week, then I have a psychological issue. So a lot of what we do is is keeping them at the top of their game, keeping their spirits at the top of their game, and growing upon that week after week, right? So we do have, just a little bit of like daily undulated, hey, how were you last night? Are you on your 4th cup of coffee? Maybe we have to down-regulate what we're doing. I get that based off of a vibe of somebody, right? Man. And so much of that is so important with my guys because there's contract negotiations going on in the background. I got free agents that are here. Like they got families, but while they might have made $1 million last year, they don't have a contract and they're living $1 million lifestyle. So that's stressful to these people. Yeah. So coming into the weight room and having a bad day because you didn't make your lifts and you already haven't been signed is the last thing that they need on top of that.
Another failure.
I love that you're talking about this because I cannot tell you how many athletes. This is coming from the perspective of an athlete coach. Like you're an athlete, I'm sure, but you are a coach to athletes. That is your profession. That is your expertise. I can't tell you how many athletes I've met who are not coaches to athletes. They are athletes. They might be personal trainers for Gen Pop, but they don't think that way. And they've even talked down to me being like, oh, well, an athlete, you go hard, you go home, you push, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, well, I'm pretty sure athletes also need to dial things back and pay attention to what's going on psychologically. Like you can't always push through your emotions that are you need to deal with that, or you're stressed out. You've had 4 cups of coffee and you're running on fumes. Let's adjust your training based off of where you're at and make sure that's going to be effective for where you're at today. It's just interesting, because I've also trained athletes who are very stubborn, and they're very no, I can do this. And I'm like, I know you can. I don't want you to, not today.
Next week.
Right.
We're there, but next week.
That's literally was my
interesting hearing
question.
You say all of that, because it's that's why athletes need coaches, probably more than anybody else.
Yeah. So how do you coach the reverse of that, knowing the program? Athletes don't really care about the program. We're being honest with you, but they know their bodies and how they feel. They're like, yo, I got another 5 in me. How do you dial them back? Because we, athletes, especially being a former athlete, understanding we do push. We know, like you said, I'm going to get in the skis, I'm going 40 miles an hour because I want to push, right? That's who I am. That's innately who we are. That's what makes us different than the rest of the world. How do you coach the reverse end of that and say, hey, next week we'll take it up?
Well, it comes
next week, but no, I can get it today, right?
I think it comes with
that part of it.
It comes with the building the trust with your athletes, because they know that there is going to be a time where I turn the music up. Nothing else in the room matters. Today is you said you had it last week. You said you had it. Now is the
go.
Now is the time. You've been talking about it. Let's go right now. Right now's the time. Nothing else matters. Show me what you got. And they get 2 or 3 of those days over the course of a 12 to 16 week off season. But that's all I need. But I also know by reserving them, hitting it, that they're going to blow themselves out of the water. They've been ready. They've been ready, but they trust me.
Okay.
Right. They trust me enough to, he says, no, I know I want to next week. Give me 1 more week. This was great. This was good. The speed on that bar was great. Next week, we're going to hit it. And then music goes up, vibes are through the roof. And then they blow the roof off of it, right? They were already wanting to go up 10 pounds, but then they blow the roof off by 25, and emotionally and everything inside them, they feel on cloud. And I can't tell you how many times I've never felt so good. I've done this for 10, 15, 20 years of my life. I've never felt this good going into camp. I'm like, thank you. Now go take care of yourself now that you're there. But just remember all the things that we do, and taking care of your body and down regulating and controlling yourself in the weight room, and then go show it. Right.
That's smart training.
You gotta build trust.
How do you build that? Talk about that.
Yeah.
Talk about how you build that trust. Day one, I walk in.
Yep.
Hey, George sent me here to, in case you guys don't know, he trains George Kittle. That's why I keep saying George. He trains George Kittle. I walk in, George sent me here. He wants me to start. She said I should train with you.
Yep.
Nah, I'll be in Nashville for the next 6 weeks. I
just
want to kind of see what you got.
You probably train on your own. You probably
I've had a coach before, bro. You know how it goes,
this
right?
Is how my coach did.
I like to go to my guy back in Florida, but George told me you were good, so I'm gonna hang out with him. How do you build that trust they want to make you believe?
It's vibes on that first day or two. They're coming in, they're joining a group of guys that, I'll be honest, I'm to a point now in my career where we do have people come and they just don't stick more than a week, not because they're not good athletes or they're not good people. They just don't fit in with my room of people.
Sure.
And that's fine. And we're to a point now where we don't have to accept too many people that don't fit into that, that don't fit into that vibe. Like if you're going to bring in bad vibes to the rest of the guys, then I'm not going to be able to get through to you because you're not my type of person.
Yeah.
So I think to your point, like if we don't vibe, then it's going to be really hard for you to build trust with me or me to trust you to do what I'm trying to get you to do. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. I think that's, especially as early coaches, it's really hard to not just accept that client that, you just
like I can't get through to them. It's like, nah, is it me?
Hate showing up to that 6 a.m. like they're a pain they're a pain in the butt.
It's not a match.
But you got to do it because you need the money.
Yeah.
And and they're not going to get the results from you either because they're not buying into you. You're not buying into them.
Yeah.
Eventually they're going to move on, and then hopefully you get somebody that you do vibe with, and then you'll have people like you got them. I've had clients for a decade.
Yeah.
They're in their 60s now. I've had them literally for a decade. Knee replacement, shoulder, whatever.
They completely trust you.
They vibe with me no matter what we're doing. They don't ask any questions. I'll educate them just so they know. But the vibe was built a decade ago, and now we just go off the day to day.
Yeah.
But without that trust, you can't be a coach.
I think a part of building trust too is also like not being a pushover.
No.
Because like I think when I first started, I was a pushover coach. I'm like, it's fine. Like, oh, what number are you on? Oh, I don't know either. Like, and I was just like, it's fine. That's enough. Now I've learned that that's like that's not helping my client at all. Yeah. And that's not helping me as a coach get better. It's actually making everything worse. And it's not helping to build trust because the client comes and they know they can get away with pretty much anything. So learned from that like you have to be assertive and you have to be like, no, we're not going to go up and wait this week. I need you to do this weight. I need you to trust me. And if you work for that, you will have your day. You will have your day next week.
Yeah.
Today, this is what we're doing.
Yeah, I love to say you have to earn your weight.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
100%.
I know you definitely can do that, right? And like also understanding as coaches that, I'm not for everyone. Like my personality type is not for everyone.
Yep.
And so because I've learned and embraced that, I can have those conversations. Like, this probably is not going to, like, I know they're not going to be here for another 2 weeks. Right? Because I know what's going to end up happening. I'm going to chew you out and then you'll end up leaving. Right? Because you're going to because your ego or you're going to get offended or you're going to completely flip the switch. But at some point I can tell I'm going to cuss you out. Like, I know it's going to happen. And what I'm not going to do is sacrifice the other people in here. To keep talking to you, right? Because everybody else is here to work. And again, if you don't want it, and that's the other side of it, right? That you can talk about. If you don't want it for yourself, right? And I can tell that you don't want. You just kind of going through it because you have to.
You got the funds to do so.
Because you got the funds to do it, or it's the thing to do, right? Talk about even in those because people think
that's where sports like really exposes people.
Well, here's what I was gonna say, like. People think that all professional athletes are all in. And that is not true. Ooh. Some people are just really talented.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
So some people's goal is to make it to the league. Some people's goal is to become a starter. Some people's goal is to get a gold jacket or become a Pro Bowler. Like everybody's goals are different. And by me making it to the league, some people are just born 6'6", 240. Like God chose you to do this. I don't have a passion for it though, right?
Kind of like
it's like people can
Chinese.
It's like people can sing but don't like singing. You know what I mean? If we like they can sing, but because it's nowhere else I can go to make $20 million this year. Nowhere else. But being 6'6", 240, I can come out here and do it. I don't train hard. It's just pure talent. I don't even like this for real. I'm just doing it so I can get a check until it's gone. So as a coach, when you run into those people, like everybody, you see the George Kittles, the Ray Lewises, I'm trying to think of some other people that just enjoy like the training part of it, right?
The Watt brothers.
The Watt brothers, yeah, like just physical
drive,
physical specimens. Even the Bosa brothers, like they're just physical specimens. They like were bred for this, right? And they know what it takes. Then you have a flip side of people who just don't like it. For example, now I've said this on another podcast. I used to work with Mookie Betts. Mookie loves baseball, but it's not his first love. Yeah. He's really good at it. But if he was 6'6", he would be a basketball player. He would tell you, I love basketball. that's my first love. I'm just good at baseball, right? Like, but he's making it's no one is nowhere else.
Problems.
He's 5'7". He's making.
For some people can't literally close their eyes and
$300
touch their fingers together.
So there's nowhere else I'm gonna go to make that.
Yeah.
Talk about coaching
on one leg.
like even talking to him, like he was, I was asking him, like, yo, how do you, like from a coaching perspective, like what is that like? And he was like, bro, like, what can you tell a man that's making $300 million? If he says he's not going to do it, he's not going to do it.
Yeah.
Like, so if you're a strength and conditioning coach for the Dodgers and he comes in and he's like, yeah, I'm not doing that today. He's not doing that today. Because if it's for the organization between you and him, they're going to choose him every time.
Always.
You can go ahead and go, Josh. We'll see you later. Right? Like, it's that simple. So knowing that, and the type of people that you work with, when you get those guys, how do you respond and coach that?
Well, fortunately, I don't work for I would make a lot more money, but I don't work for a professional franchise in which if they don't want to do it, they don't have to do it. These guys are coming to me because they want to, and it's their off season. And whether they love football or it's their job, they still have a job to do because a lot of these guys, again, I got a lot of guys that don't love football.
Yeah.
I love this example, offensive lineman for the Titans. He doesn't love ball, but he loves being a tough guy.
Yeah.
So if he gets beat on a play,
Sounds like me.
He hits the ground and people are like, man, he's really upset that he missed that block, which he is because he cares about his teammates, but he cares that he got beat physically, and that pisses him off.
Oh, that's a lot of
so
athletes.
it's sitting there. So, all right, come on, let's go. Now you're gonna show your manhood back to that guy. You're gonna win this play, and if football's a part of that, football's a part of it.
Yeah.
But that's probably half of my guys. Like they just want to be physically imposing.
Yeah.
So that's why they train. And football is that. Now I've got 6'8", 320-pound offensive linemen that they've just been in the league for 7-8 years, and they're just kind of holding on because they did run a 4.9 at that, and they don't really work, and those guys they don't train in my big groups anymore. I still take them, like I still try to help them as best I can, but they can't be a part of that big group vibe where everybody's grinding because
they take the energy.
And I have my guys will hold them accountable. They're like, you didn't do your set. And like someone will come to try to join conditioning, and other guys will be like, no, you still got 2 sets of squats. Like you can join afterwards. So we've built such a culture in the weight room amongst these guys. You got guys from the Eagles calling out guys from the Giants and vice versa. And accountability is great. So like what you were saying earlier, like how do I get people to build trust? They've built trust to a degree that they're holding each other accountable. Yeah. And then I'm CEOing over top of this, which is just so awesome.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
That's really amazing. It reminds me of like the times I've like cried in Muay Thai, but like that's why I said earlier, like sports exposes people because I cried. Like I was like, because coach chewed me out, yelled at me. Like, I'm like, I'm trying, I'm doing my best, and it's like, I get frustrated. And that's when I realized, the first time that happened, or maybe not the first time, but at some point I realized this is what separates an athlete from somebody just doing it to do it, because it's cool to box and, looks cool and badass and is tough, like if you actually want to do it, you're going to have to get used to this feeling. Yeah. It sucks, and you're going to get yelled at. It's going to be hard. You're going to mess up. You're going to get yelled at more, like it's just going to be tough. Yeah. And you actually have to be a tough person if you're going to make it. And then there's people who like naturally, it's so interesting hearing you guys talk about this because I'm thinking about Muay Thai, like people who naturally picked it up. Like this one girl was a ballerina her whole life, like professional ballet. First Muay Thai, it was like my 7th, like time going, and she's like kicking my head, like easy for her. And now she's like competing and she's like making her way up the chain. I don't compete, I'm not cut out to be a Muay Thai fighter like that. Not like her. Yeah. She naturally has it. So it's really interesting hearing this about football and hearing your perspective, but we do have to take a break. I really want to keep talking, but we got to take a break. And we'll be right back after that break to kind of pick up, and then we'll start, wrapping things up here.
Cool. We're in Nashville for the 7th Country Music Marathon and Half Marathon. I think it says a lot about the city of Nashville, what it has to offer.
right, we are back, guys. We talked about your coaching a little bit. I want to go into like you as an athlete. You played at Louisiana Tech.
I did.
What position did you play?
For the viewers, I was a long snapper. I went there. I was a guy that played linebacker and thought, I was all state. This is going to be good. And I ran down on my first kickoff, and I was every bit of 7 yards behind everybody around me. I'm like, wow. I'm glad I can snap because I'm not touching this field. Like the level.
You knew then?
I knew right then.
Wow.
And like we were talking about grit, I was strong.
Yeah.
I took such offense when the strength coach put me on like rack 4. I'm like, I can power clean 330 pounds. Like, why am I down here?
Yeah.
And this is when I knew very early. I was a freshman. I knew then that I was going to be a strength coach in some capacity. He said, Cuthbert, I didn't put you down there because you're weak or any of those things. I put you down there because you're going to take care of your business and help them take care of theirs. I'm like,
coach.
So I'm coaching already.
Yeah, you're coach.
Like I was in charge of the rack. And at that point, I knew that the weight room was a place I wanted to be. And that was going to be something that helped me stay or get on the field then, because I mean, these guys, 6'1", 6'2", 230, 240, running 4'4", 4'5" from Destrehan or New Orleans, Louisiana. They're just a completely different athlete than what I was. Like I was the guy at a lower Division I level. You can potentially get there off of extremely hard work, good programming, all the things, a little bit of genetics. Like I maxed myself out. But there was people next to me that didn't hardly work very hard, got there off of purely genetics and played
just to have the grades to go somewhere else.
Played a ton more than I did. Now they weren't quite good enough to go to the next level, but it just shows the talent discrepancy and what like really truly hard work can do for somebody. It can get you to a point, but the whole thing of hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. It does, but not at like the NFL all pro level. Like you're just not getting there. You're just not getting there to a degree. Like they're
realism.
You get, the 1% of 1% goes to play Division I football.
Yep.
And that's really hard for, Timmy over there in Belmead to gather for his son that's going to Ensworth, bro. Like he's not a Division, he's not a Division I athlete. He's just not,
and it's okay. You can out train him, but he's not. He's not going to the league.
He's not, and
I guess that's why you see so many parents who are like, coach parents that like, will literally march into a school and be like, "Why is my kid not on the starting lineup?" It's like, well, because your kid is just not going to.
But they don't understand that part of it, right? Most people don't. That's why I don't train kids too. Like I get so many like parents like, "Oh, could you train my son to play football?" Nah. No. And it's not you. It's just I know like you get better at football by playing football, not by what we do in the weight room, right? What you do with Kittle is to keep him on the field longer. You're not gonna make him a better tight end.
It can facilitate.
That is you just keep him. You just keeping him healthy, right? Like bigger, faster, stronger. Outside of that, I can't help him do anything
catch the ball or
can't
run a route.
Can't help him move. Can't help your
us.
vision. Can't help any of that. Can't help him be 6'6". Like it's just certain things that I can't do. If your kid is good at football, he'll be fine. And I'll see him when he gets to the next level, right?
Sure.
He's gonna be fine. And so understanding that part of it, which leads me to my next question is, what do you think the biggest difference is in like a pro athlete and a college athlete? Where is the big jump?
I love this
majority of what you're seeing there is just going to be your genetic potential. If you turn on football on Saturday, you can easily tell the difference between the 5 guys at Alabama. Ryan Williams, for instance, wide receiver. Like he's just going to go. Like it already. He's
they knew it
17.
Sophomore year in college.
He just turned 18 years. Like he's going to go.
Yeah.
You can see it. You can see the fluidity and the way he runs his routes. He's got a 40-inch vertical. You can see it. Like that guy. That's an NFL player already.
He may not even peaked yet.
Yes. No, not even close. He's 18 years old.
In a system. Yeah.
So he's going to go. And there's a lot of guys that are really talented. They're big. They're strong, fast. But when you get to the NFL level, all of the guys that were the best player on their team, there's only one from that team that actually goes to the NFL. And there's 100.
Sounds like musicians.
There's 120 Division I colleges. Then you've got all the 1AA and all the Division II. So somebody like George, he was bug for everybody. I spent time in Louisiana.
Yeah, that's what I was going like. Sorry,
bugs are fine.
In my face. It's fine. I'm not gonna.
George, he was talented, but he had no more than 300 yards in college.
Wow.
So he was 6'5", 240, but he didn't actually, he's reverse of what we were talking about. He didn't reach his potential until he found a different gear.
Yeah.
And a lot of that was
because he was actually pretty small.
Yeah.
Like initially.
He was reviewed as being a potential fullback. They didn't throw the ball a ton at Iowa, so he didn't get ops there as a tight end. there's not much to do in Iowa, right? So he wasn't in a position, if he would have been at USC or University of Alabama, they would have used him differently, but his body would have been prepared a little bit differently.
Yeah.
You know, you go to Iowa, you eat, drink, you play football, and that's just kind of part of it.
And that's actually one of the best strength and conditioning schools in the country.
He was strong and he was big, but he went from a 6'5", 255 guy to 6'5", 245 with the same strength, and now he's able to move a little bit. Once he got to the NFL, because he changed a little bit of how he approached his day-to-day, and he was already that gifted guy. You couldn't quite see it because the program in which he was in was actually holding him back, which is we don't have hours, but that's a completely different subject. There's guys out there that say, man, you know, I was an NFL talent, and maybe they're not wrong, but the system they were in actually kept them from getting there.
Yeah. And I think it's the same thing even with getting drafted. Where you goes matter. Matters as much as going, right? So if you go early, and we're seeing it now with like a Caleb Williams, like with the Bears, you go to or the Browns or just one of those historically.
It's hard to climb out of those teams. They all stink and they've stunk for a long time.
Bryce Young is talent. It's where you are right now.
Sam Darnold.
Great example. Right? Yeah.
Went to the Jets, they were terrible. Went to Carolina, they were terrible. Went to San Francisco, learned and was a backup for a year. Now he's an MVP candidate.
Yeah.
Threw for 400 yards and 5 touchdowns last week.
Wow. Jared Goff, another one. Like it's just sometimes where you are matters.
It holds you back.
Yeah, holds you back, or you know somebody or someone knows how to get the best out of you, how to push you to that next level.
Well, they talk about that with like coaches. You know, like some teams just had the wrong coach, you know, and then it goes back to like the energy in the room, you know, like,
well, I was going to go with
that person was not the fit.
Yeah. I was going to go with our coaching style, right? Like understanding you seeing potential. Talk to me about a time when you may have had a player or someone that you saw potential in and you like, yo, you had to coach that greatness out of them.
Yeah. I mean, I got a guy, it's probably 6 years ago from Vanderbilt. And back to where you come from really matters. I mean, the guy, 6'6", 320 pounds, front squat 135.
Jeez.
And it was hard. Couldn't move, couldn't bend. So at that point, I was in an uphill battle. Like he had to get stronger, but he also had to be able to move. He had to be able to bend more. All of those things. And I think at that point, like he had just accepted that he was probably pretty good at football. Like he had good hands, got good feet, but being strong wasn't anything that was going to be in his wheelhouse. And I'll be damned if that was the way I was going to approach it. Like we are going to get stronger. We can get stronger. Yeah. But after a lifetime and going 4 years through a Division I program and you're not strong, you don't think that being strong is one of those things. And now he's playing for the Buccaneers, had the second highest squad on the team.
That's what he needed.
He needed a different approach, not that Vanderbilt strength and conditioning, because there's another guy who played with him at the same time, Oren Burks, who front squats 450 pounds. They were in the same weight room for 3 of the same years. One guy couldn't get over 135. The other guy was hitting 400.
Wow.
Same room, same time. And it just clicked for one, didn't click for the other. And now they're within 50 pounds of each other. Fast forward 6 years, we'll be in the same weight room. OB's still front squatting 450 and Justin's right around 400.
Do you think that's because you were the one person to tell him that he had potential?
It's a change of approach. It's a change of mindset. It's just, you know, slightly changing the way we approach things, and you kind of just get stuck in this groove. Whatever's being thrown at you when you're in college, you just do what you do, and you get what you get, and you won't throw a fit, right? It's college. You don't now different idea with NIL stuff, but back then when we were playing, you just got to show up. If you don't do it, then you're going to be punished out on the field. Yeah. Sure. Right now, kids have some clout and they actually have some pull.
Jump into that real quick. We talked about it offline, and we'll get ready to wrap here in a second. I promise.
I'm here for this.
Let's because I actually think we're on opposite sides of this, so I'm interested to see what you have to say about the NIL system in sports.
I think it's good within reason. I came from a time where we didn't get paid. I mean, people did, like Kenneth Dixon and some people I played with, like they got paid. That was fine.
Yeah.
But it wasn't part of what we do. I do think the amount of money and all the eyeballs and the NCAA's profit should go back to the players. So I'm not disregarding that at all. But the idea that a kid can come in, collect $1 million paycheck, then go somewhere else, and then go somewhere else afterwards, for me, it's doing a disjustice to them as a person in business. Like you accept this money, you accept this contract, yet you just leave the next day, and you can do that for a couple of years while you're in college maybe and get away with it. But then you get thrusted into the real world, and that's your mentality on how you're going to go through life.
Entitled.
And that's not really going to help you.
But I'm $5 million up by that time.
You are, but I know a lot of guys that burn through $5 million pretty
I was
quickly.
going to say, do you know how to
As an 18, 19-year-old kid.
Okay, so here's my argument. Coaches do it all the time.
They do. And I think that's why my stance is you should be able to get one. At least in the transfer portal, you can get one freebie.
Okay.
Your coach happens, Saban sits in your living room, like, we're going to feed into your son. He retires the next year.
Yep.
Right. So, okay, that's great. Now I want to go to LSU. Great. You signed here, go that way. But 3 or 4 at that, we're just talking, it's just a business. And if it's just going to be business, then take the NCAA label off and just call it, semi-pro football or whatever you want to call it. But at some point, like, just holding yourself accountable to what you signed up to do, because you'll see kids that they're not playing and they're leaving versus a coach that's climbing the ladder. So there's a ton of arguments. I don't think that paying players is a bad thing.
Yeah.
I wish we would have done it.
Yeah.
Wish we would have got it. But I do think
I still probably would have got much, but still.
the wild. Well, I mean, there's schools like Miami. You just, by being a part of the team,
Yep.
you get an additional $2,500 a month. Yep. That's just, and universities, it's really hurting them because this booster money used to go to the school, and now they have to put it to just the sports programs.
You're getting it back.
It's going all back into it. Yeah.
You're getting it, like, so that's kind of like, if you think of nothing else, if we just do ticket sales for UT, ticket sales every year.
They had that little 10% bump for athlete pay.
Why? You don't need it because UT holds what, 109? And they sell out every year for the last 100 years, right?
Even I know that.
So ticket sales are, let's say we're being generous, $50.
Yep.
So every game, every year, you're up 20 million at least. Just ticket. We haven't done concessions. We haven't done boost. We haven't done, and just, hey, we're going to put the schedule out there. You guys going to come, right? And you're telling me all I get is books?
Yeah.
Nah.
No, I get it.
So when I look at it that way, and usually now, like at schools of that size, players are getting handshake deals anyway.
Always,
right? Like, Sav's dad may see me and say, hey, great game, shake my hand, and there's something in that handshake that, So that has been happening since the beginning of time. It has been, hey, I can't make this official, but if you come to Alabama, your mom will have a Porsche tomorrow.
Yeah.
Don't worry. Yeah, listen, don't have to worry about that car. Like, because Saban owns a Mercedes dealership, multiple. That's not by like.
But that's like
not just
that's
a
chump
coincidence.
change now.
This
Like these dudes.
This might be a really uneducated question, but how does this affect like their studies? I know like if you are a certain level athlete in college,
we don't.
That stops mattering,
So,
right?
so understanding, and people hate it when I say this, right?
I mean, we've said a lot of realistic things about being an athlete.
Yeah.
You have to be a realistic person.
Yeah, football players are, like, you went to school for a degree, right? So that you can get a good job.
A music degree, so.
Yeah, but most people go to school to get a degree so that they can get a good job, right?
Sure.
We student athletes go to school with the intention of going to the league. That's our good job. The way my schedule, if you talk about college schedules, like my day, that's the other part of it. Like my day is laid out for me. I don't have any control of my day. Like from wake up to literally sleep, I have an itinerary of where I'm supposed to be, what I'm supposed to be doing, all the way down to the meals I eat, where I'm supposed, like checking in on meals I ate here. That like my day is done. Cam Newton couldn't walk around Auburn University. He couldn't go to class. Shador Sanders can't go to class right now in person, right? I'm not here to go to class.
But
I'm here to play football.
About the athletes? So if you're a coach, like for college football player, and you know that kid is not going to the NFL, like for a fact, but he doesn't.
Yeah.
Like, would you tell him to go to school more?
Yeah.
Well, there's a to your point a little bit. There's a sliding scale that your school has to maintain for eligibility purposes.
Yep. Sure.
And every now and then you'll see a weird, USC had it 4 or 5 years ago where they had 7 guys that were ineligible for their bowl game. Yeah. That was a colossal mess up on their ability to bring in, some people like me that had a 3.7 GPA to pull up all that stuff. So you while it's not your intention, like you still have to make grades enough to maintain eligibility. Like that's part of it. You don't have to graduate. You don't have to do all that stuff. But across the board, 80% of the people, I don't want to say know that they aren't going to go to the league, but
maybe more,
are decent students. Like Jalen Milroe graduated in 3 years. He's one of the best quarterbacks in college. He's at Alabama, and he's a phenomenal student. So I think a lot of it is the player that you recruit, their upbringing. Affects their ability to be a great student also, because that's just who they're ingrained as a person, right? And most of these kids are good people. They're hard workers, right? And football is part of that, but being a student isn't, I mean, it's an afterthought for some, but you still have to show up because it's what you're being, at this point, it's what you're being paid to do.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, like that's kind of how I would, think it should be. I mean, what is the movie with Sandra Bullock and the Blindside? Yeah. I mean, his upbringing sucked, and he had talent and potential that somebody saw.
Yeah. Well, he was 6'8". Right. Michael Orr is a huge human.
Right. But let him focus on football. You might think my answer would be like, no, everyone should be educated. But it's like, so if the guys with potential that are going to the NFL, there are people looking for those people.
Yeah,
but they still have to be eligible. It's like,
I don't think it's about eligibility. And we'll get ready to wrap. Like for me, like I think everyone should be educated, because the problem that I do have with NIL is you're taking an 18-year-old and you're handing him $5 million. At 18, that's in the win. I'm not even gonna lie to you. That is Lambo tomorrow, jewelry, like all the things, right? That's in the win.
Sense of entitlement, which is not going to serve you later in life.
Understanding that, like, what my life, I'm not gonna live life like the rest of you anyway. Most of the time, right? But at that point, it is the school's job to educate those people on what to do with that money, right? Like, hey, your courses that you got financial literacy, you got like understanding like how to use this money, not just send it back home to mama, not just like I didn't understand stock market until I was a full adult. You know what I mean?
I still don't.
Like, so understanding like, oh, I can put a 10% of this NIL deal into the market. That way I know I'm going to be straight if I don't go to the league, because that's going to grow over the next 3-4 years. Right. So understanding that.
We can have a whole other
that's a whole other podcast. We can jump so deep into all this. We're going to wrap this up, Josh. We want to leave you with the last word, man. Like whatever it is that you want to leave our listeners with. It could be training, it could be life, it could be motivation.
And we'll have to have you back on and have more nerd talks, because I'm learning a lot, and I just appreciate, talking with other coaches. I learn as a coach, as a human, and we'll have to have you back on to talk about it more.
I talk about this a lot, so I have like a 3 C's like kind of method to what I do, and it's connection is first, consumption from the person that you're connecting with, and then you implement your coaching, right? So if you can take that in like life as well, connect with your friends, be a good listener. Like now you're consuming the information and what they're trying to tell you, and then the coaching is friendship at that point. So if you're connecting, you're consuming, you're a better friend to all the people around you. And if you can do that in life and in business, you're going to be more successful, and you're certainly going to be more successful as a coach.
I love that. Yeah. That makes a lot of sense.
Where can people find and connect with you at?
My biggest platform is Instagram, Josh_Alpha Strength. It's not a very big platform, because like you said, I'm pretty genuine. There's some things that I could probably do to grow it, but
when you're probably focused in real time.
Yeah, I just I post when I post, and I get what I get, and that's what you get.
I love it.
I love it, man. First of all, thank you so much for tapping in with us,
absolutely.
Man.
Thanks, guys.
This has been great. Like you said, we could go so many different ways with today's conversation, but unfortunately, Trent doesn't want to be here until midnight.
Come on, Trent.
Right.
I'm curious about being in that camp off. With your boys. But I want to like see if I can survive.
Man, I am the Gerell Webb. I
am Savanna Hill. Y'all can call me Sav.
And we'll see you guys next time you press play.